No, we are all out of copies of Bride. Yeah, we can't keep Allie Hazelwood in stock. No, the only copies we have of her books right now are Loath to Love You, The Love Hypothesis, Love Theoretically, and Love on the Brain. However, they're just our consult books. We don't have any for sale. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. No, I don't know when we'll be getting more. Yeah, so sorry. Yeah. Hi. How can I help you? You're here for a consult? Amazing. Well, let me take a peek here. Does look like I have you on my books. I have you right here. It looks like you didn't fill out any of this information online. No, that's totally okay. It just lets me know that we're starting from scratch. Okay, so let me explain to you how this process works since you didn't do any of the online stuff. Basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to ask you a series of questions about your book preferences, a little bit about you, your personality, and then assign a couple of books to your profile. You don't have to read these books. They're just books that I think you would enjoy. If you like them, we let you borrow them. If you hate them, you let us know. If you love them, you can then buy them from us at a discount. Yeah, kind of like a library, but we're more like a rent-to-own bookstore. Okay, so let's get started. What is your age? Okay. And are you just getting into reading? Have you read before? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've read something before. But I'm more so asking, like, are you an avid reader? Are you just getting back into reading because you were an avid reader in the past? Or is this just your first foray into really being like a reader that's not reading things from like a classroom perspective? Okay, you're getting back into reading. Love that. We have been flooded with people who are just getting back into reading because book talk and booktube and everything like that, so we love that. Okay, so now what is your preferred age range of book? Like the book, like when they're marketing books, they assign an age range for like the target audience. No, it doesn't have to be your age. We have a lot of adults that read to unwind and they really like reading middle grade, which is like that age 10 to 12 kind of middle school age range. Think, oh, what's a good middle grade? Something like this. So this is Keepers of the Lost City. It's like an epic fantasy. It's quite long, but the print is large and spread out, and it deals with themes that would be appropriate for that age range. So that would be a middle grade, and your characters in that you're looking at are going to be children. We also have children's books, obviously. Those are for kids. The characters can be a wide age range, but you're looking at obviously shorter, more moral-based stories. We also have YA, which is your 13 to 18 range. There has been a lot of changes in YA lately. Just because the characters are classified as like young adults doesn't mean that it's young adult content. And there's just been some changes with YA, so it definitely is slowly leaning towards more adult. But YA would be like that high school age, dealing with high school problems, young relationships, those kind of things. New adult is where we start to see some more salacious content, I would say. Most new adults, especially I guess in the romance department, deal heavily with like drugs, partying, just, and that's not all new adult, but there is a heavy influence there of that. And your characters would be like 18 to 24, kind of that college age. And then of course we have our adult books, which are all 18 plus. In terms of, it could contain things that deal with issues that would be considered 18 plus, or the characters themselves are well into adulthood. Okay, so looking at like adult, maybe a middle grade or two to kind of cleanse the palate, sure. YA and new adult, just so basically no kids books. Okay, sure, that's pretty easy to work with. That gives us a lot of space. And then for your preferred age of characters, do we have a preference? Not really. Okay. I would say with you liking YA and the new adult to adult, I would put you somewhere between like that 18 and up range. And then since we are talking about some adult books, what is your comfortability with like explicit language? Okay, so like some, but not like a gratuitous amount. Sure. All right, and I do have to ask, are we going to be dipping into any romance? Potentially. Okay, what is your comfortability with like on-page sexual content? Yeah, so there's a couple different levels when we're speaking in books. There's what we call closed door. That means you know a scene is coming, but you won't see it on page. It'll just kind of be alluded to. Then we have a lot of people use like chili peppers to kind of rate it. One chili pepper would be like very low levels, but like 5 would be like a depiction of every singular thing that's happening in that particular moment, like open door, on page. Okay, sure. So like you could go for the full, sure. Okay, and then you said you used to read, so what was your most read genre? Probably fantasy. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And is there a particular genre you would like to explore? You're good with anything, just not sci-fi. Okay. All right, and then do you have a preferred length of book? Like, I would say, unless you're dipping into a novella, you're going to be looking at 250 plus pages for each book. Okay. So like 250 to no more than 480. That's a pretty good range. And then are you open to graphic novels? Okay. And then what is the most memorable book you've read? The Hunger Games. Sure. That's a big one. And do you have a least favorite book? Okay. And what did you not like about that? It just was slow, seemed boring. Okay. And do you care hardcover or paperback? No? Okay. And then are we looking again with series, standalones? Both. Okay. Do you have a preferred length of series? Like no more than 4 books, no less than 2? Okay, nothing above like 8, sure. And do we care about release dates? No. Okay. And then you had mentioned there was some pacing issues with books you didn't like, so I'm gonna guess we like a fast pace. Sure. Does the cover matter? No? Okay. Do you use your library? Not currently. Okay. And then do you have any books on your TBR? Yeah, so a TBR would be like your to be read, like a list of books that you have that you want to read. Not right now. Okay. Well, that is about to change. And then did you have any favorite authors? No. All right. And then one last question. Is there anything in books that just gives you an automatic no? Like something that if you read it in a book, it would make you want to close the book, put it down forever. Okay. And then do I need to be aware of any trigger warnings when I'm pulling these books? Okay. Perfect. That's a really common one. A lot of people do not want that in their books. Okay. Now that I have that, give me just a second to pull some books for you. Bearing with me there while I pulled some books for you. I have a bunch of different genres, a bunch of different lengths. I think all of these are series, so after we go through these and decide what's a yes and a no, I'll pull some standalones. But first, one that I really recommend for my people who enjoy a mystery is Stalking Jack the Ripper. This one, I would say, kind of toes the line of, it's definitely historical fiction, but it's also kind of gothic horror feeling a little bit. It has some elements of that, I guess I would say. So there's a little bit of gore in here, not a lot, nothing that we talked about. And it also is a mystery, but there's also a little bit of romance in here. Definitely YA, and I believe it's just touching 320 pages. Yeah, I can tell you a little bit more about it. The main character is named Audrey, and she is a what we would now say like a coroner or a forensic scientist. She performs autopsies, even though she's a woman, so she's kind of a societal outcast. she's working with her uncle, and he has an apprentice that she forms a bond with. And they have kind of a little rivalry, like they're academic rivals for a good portion of this. He's very snarky. But also this is all happening in London when the Jack the Ripper case is occurring. So they're investigating that and trying to understand what happened and figure out who Jack the Ripper is. So it's a very good setup for the series, because while they solve this case in this book, it leads them to working on other cases. Yeah, okay, so we'll put that as a yes. Kind of switching gears, I have a romance for you. Again, this is the start of a series, but you don't have to read the other two books in order to get like the full effect of this one. This is by Tessa Bailey. This is almost 400 pages, and this is Fix Her Up. It is about Georgie, who is the youngest sibling in her family, and she's trying to start her own business and get her family to take her seriously. But she ends up reconnecting with her childhood crush, who is also her brother's best friend. And they start this kind of fake dating so that he can clean up his image, because he's an ex-professional athlete who's done some not so great things in the past. And she is kind of this like squeaky clean image, but she's never had a serious boyfriend, so it's just get her family to see her as a grown-up, especially being with him. And obviously that starts to turn into a little bit more of a serious relationship than they anticipated. Yeah, it's really cute, kind of small town. Sure, okay. People aren't big fans of that one, but I personally really enjoy it. Now switching gears again, I did pull a fantasy for you since you did like the Hunger Games. This is not a dystopian, but it is YA. It's called The Bone Witch. As you can see, it's very spooky looking. This is a much longer book. This one, actually, it's only like 400 pages. This is about Tia, who is a bone witch. She's a necromancer, and she raises these creatures from the dead. You don't need to hear anymore. You're in? Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of like training scenes. There's a romance. There's political intrigue. There's a lot to this one, so I think you'll like this. And this is a trilogy. I have a couple other romances for you. I did grab The Fine Print by Horn and Asher. Okay, you've seen this one on Book Talk, so you're familiar. Yeah, this is the start to the series. I personally enjoyed it a lot. It is a billionaire romance, kind of some Disney vibes with like the company that they own. Yeah, and it's like employee and boss kind of, sort of, not really. Yeah, like he's the CEO and she kind of happens to end up working for him, but she doesn't know that. Okay, not right now. You're on the fence, sure. We'll see if you like the other romances, just because this one is pretty. This one's definitely more spicy than some of the other ones. It's not a dark romance. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So the next one is also a romance. This is another one that is a little bit more spicy, especially for Tessa Bailey. It happened one summer. If you like Schitt's Creek, it's kind of in that realm of things with the main character. She's insufferable for like a couple chapters. And then you have like the grumpy main character here. Yeah, he's a crab fisherman. She's rich. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this one's really good, especially for like the summer read. If you don't get to that one till it's a little bit warmer. And then I did pull one. This is a mystery. This is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. It is a YA, and this one is a I just realized there's like a little note in here. So there's 2 timelines. We have a bunch of different relationships going on in here. These kids are all at this boarding school. They're all prodigies in some way. So we have a lot of representation of different neurodivergence, and also like a lot of different interests. So I would say that if you're reading this, there's probably like 1 or 2 characters that you'll connect with. If you've ever been bullied or kind of outcasted. But they're trying to solve this unsolved mystery. And it reads kind of like a mystery podcast. And it sets up a whole series. You're not sure? Okay. If you're not sure, we will just put it back because you've already got a few pretty good options here. And then I do have a fantasy romance. This is a special edition. So this is not what the book you would be taking home would look like. This is just the copy I currently have on hand. This is from Blood and Ash. It's another big one on Book Talk. And it is a very adult romanticy. Yeah, from the first chapter, we're kind of thrown into the fire there. But we have a bodyguard and his kind of the person he's sworn to protect situation. There's a lot that goes on in here that I can't give away, but there is kind of a vampire werewolf dynamic. You're down? Okay. Yeah, if you read Twilight, this may be in your wheelhouse. So right now you're at 5 books. Did you want to look at anything else? You're okay with what you have? Okay. That's perfect, since I think 5 books in, I think you have 5 different genres. Just about. There's 2 romances, and the romanticy kind of rides that line. So you have a couple of genres, you have some different lengths. What I will recommend for you is just start with whatever one you feel most drawn to. And I'm just gonna write down the numbers that we have on these books so we make sure that we get them back if you don't like them. 7, 15, 76, 42, and 10. Okay, so what I would say is if at any point you feel like you just don't care about the book anymore, something's sticking out to you that you don't like, add it to the notes section of your profile online, which I will give you the login information here before you leave. Start just taking notes of what you're not liking, and also take notes of what you're really loving, because that will help when you come back. That will help me find more books that I know you're gonna love, ones that you are more likely to want to reread, and we'll really find where your niche lies. Now, you could be like me and love all of them, and that's great. If you love all of them and want to buy all of them, keep them all forever and ever and always, then you can do that. But we do buy back books if after you've read the whole thing, you keep it for a little while and then decide you're not going to reread it. We do buy them back, obviously at a discounted price, but we do buy them back. and we do like to make sure that our clients are really enjoying what they're reading. So I'm going to give you this little sheet here that we just filled out, and it is going to tell you what to do at the front counter. You're just going to go up to the front. Jessica will ring you out. She'll grab you fresh copies of all the books, and she will let you know. There is no expected return date, but I do believe you have 90 days for each book. What you'll do is you'll go online to your profile. You will, when you start the book, put that date in of when you start the book, and you have 90 days to finish that book before you will be charged the full price. Yeah, so that's why with 5 books, it's pretty good. But that's also why I tell people, as soon as you start getting to where maybe you're not loving the book anymore, or it's just not your pacing, whatever. If you start thinking that you're not gonna finish it, maybe pause with it, start another one, or just bring it back and we can get you something else, just so that you're not being charged for books that you won't even end up liking. Okay, great. Well, you are all set, and here is your little sheet there. And today you will only be charged for your consultation, none of the books. Yeah, and that's $5 for the consultation. Yeah, it was no problem at all. Thank you for coming in and using our services. And I hope to see you back real soon so we can get you some more books.